2008, the University of Oklahoma won its second Big 12 Gymnastics Championship with individual champions Haley DiProspero and Holly Weiss. 8th-ranked OU looks to repeat. However, it won't be easy. Trisha Wu leads traditional power Nebraska. Defending all-around champ Adrian Perry pilots Missouri. Jasmine Thompson will look to lead Iowa State home to victory. The 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships are next. From Iowa State University in Ames, Iowa, it's the 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championships. Last year's all-around champion Adrian Perry from Missouri is back again in 2009 for the Tigers. And it was just last March she claimed Mizzou's first ever Big 12 conference title in the all-around. Can she do it again? John Roethlisberger's a three-time U.S. Olympian. He's with us. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and we are delighted to have you with us here in Ames. What do you think we can expect here this afternoon?
Well, I'll tell you what, Dan, I expect to see something that I don't expect to see. You know, at last year's Big 12 Championships, Iowa State, which was the big underdog, almost stole it from Oklahoma right at the end, only to lose by a tenth. It was an amazing competition, and I fully expect tonight to have some surprises for us.
Oklahoma and Nebraska, they are considered powerhouses in the sport. Let's highlight some of their stars.
Yeah, Oklahoma and Nebraska should be considered the favorites coming into this competition. And for Oklahoma, they have tremendous depth. But two of their best 2008 Big 12 champions, Holly Weiss and Haley DiProspero, are ones to watch. Holly obviously on bars and beam. Haley, one of their best all-arounders. If Oklahoma is going to win again, they're going to have to rely on these two for sure. And as for Nebraska, there's no more Emily Parsons, but there is Trisha Wu, one of the most fun gymnasts to watch in tonight's competition. And she's a leader not just gymnastically, but emotionally for Nebraska.
So what needs to happen if you're Iowa State or Missouri to win this championship?
Well, interestingly enough, Missouri has always been one of those teams that kind of needed a little bit of help to win, but I think this might be the year that they don't. They have a great team. They have a lot of depth, obviously led by Adrian Perry, but they have got another great all-arounder. Actually, the highest-ranked all-arounder from the Big 12 in the NCAA this year is Sarah Shire. And so they've got some great talent and some great depth, and watch for them. This could be their first ever conference title. As for Iowa State, big surprise last year that they were that close to winning it. They're led by this girl, Jasmine Thompson. She's outstanding in the all-around. Iowa State might need a little bit of help from the other teams in order to win, but if they go out there and hit, as we've seen, anything can happen.
Iowa State, Missouri, Oklahoma, Nebraska, all gunning for the Big 12 championship. We'll start things off when we come back to Ames, Iowa, and Hilton Coliseum next. Big 12 Gymnastics Championship is brought to you by the American Airlines Center, host of the 2009 USA Gymnastics Visa Championships, this August 12th through the 15th. So here we go for the 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship from Ames, Iowa. And let's tell you how this format works and the breakdown. 4 competing teams: Oklahoma, Missouri, Nebraska, and Iowa State. The 4 events: floor, vault, beam, and bars. John, out of those 4, what stands out for you?
Well, looking at the rotation there and the 4 events, I talked to all the coaches or a coach from each team before the competition, and they all love where they start. I'm like, how do you feel about starting on beam? We love it. How do you feel about starting on floor? We love it. I don't think it matters where they start. They're going to find a way to love it no matter what.
Defending champ is Oklahoma. They're number 8 in the country at 10-4. And we will start on the beam with Ashley Jackson, who is a senior from Hudsonville, Michigan, and East Kentwood High School. The junior missed All-American status by .025 on bars at the NCAA championship just a year ago.
Now, talking about starting positions, I will be honest with you. If you're a coach and you're a gymnast, you really don't like to start on beam. If you're nervous at all, which you are in competition, you certainly don't want to have to jump up on the 4-inch wide balance beam to start your competition. However, if you can start on beam and knock it out of the park, I'll tell you what, the confidence you have going to the rest of the events is outstanding.
I find it interesting in talking with you about this. We were watching them warm up, and I said, you guys are crazy. You gymnasts, I can't believe you do this. And you told me, hey, you still get nervous. There's a little bit of the fear factor, especially on the beam.
Oh, definitely. Even as a spectator, and certainly when I was doing gymnastics, obviously I didn't do balance beam, but there's always a little nervousness as an athlete that that wipeout could be anywhere looming in the future. But you got to be confident, and they've done it a long time. And And once they get to this point, they've got enough confidence to overcome any nervousness that they might have.
For the average fan out there that's watching right now, what are the judges looking for in evaluating the team and the process that goes into play? What are they looking at?
Well, there are certain requirements, and one of the biggest things that you're going to see from the gymnast is the acro series, and we saw that from Ashley right at the beginning. She did the layout step out, and that's a big part of the routine, and she's got a big dismount right here. It's a double back, the only one doing that dismount in this competition. So those are two big elements to watch, and certainly are they going to stick those landings.
The top-ranked squad in the Big 12 this season, number 8 in the country. They hold the highest RQS average of any conference squad on vault, bars, and here the beam.
Take another look at this dismount. Round off on the end of the beam, double back, and look at that space she has to put her feet. Very, very difficult, and a great start for Oklahoma.
Mary Burke on bars from Missouri, a freshman from Illinois. And what are we watching out for here, partner?
Well, uneven bars always is about big releases and big dismounts, and Mary has been a rock, to say the least, for Missouri all season long. She competed all around in all 11 meets, and as a freshman, that's a tough, tough task. There's one of those releases that's called the Ganger. Now this is a good routine, but if you look closely, you're seeing some small foot breaks, feet are coming apart slightly, having a little trouble in that low bar. You got to really hit those handstands too. That's something else to watch for when they do the cast handstand like that, or any pirouetting skills. She manages to get through it, minimizes any of those errors, but she is going to get nickeled and dimed a little bit throughout that routine. Probably won't be one of the highest scores we see tonight on that event.
Mary Burke, the freshman from Mizzou.
Take another look at this dismount. It's a very tough dismount because it's a blind landing. Anytime you're going forward like that, you don't see the floor until the last second, but she does it with perfection.
Back to bars. This is Adrian Perry for Missouri, and she is a Columbia, Missouri native, the senior.
And certainly one of the leaders, and I know she would like to finish her career at Mizzou with a team championship, the first ever for Missouri. And it's going to be a big task. Obviously Oklahoma, Nebraska, tough squads, and she really is going to have to be on her game tonight. Her and Sarah Shire, both top all-arounders, are going to have to perform well. And this event was a little bit challenging. Watching them work out yesterday a little bit, it looked like Adrian was spending a little extra time on the bars. I don't know if she has extra concerns about this event or not, but certainly one that she's capable of performing well on.
Well, we talked about it at the beginning of our program here, that she claimed Missouri's first ever Big 12 conference title in the all-around. Big question, can she do it again?
She's got her work cut out for her. So far, this routine is very clean. Again, watch those handstands. That straddle back was a little bit flat.
When you say flat, describe what you mean.
When you go for those handstands, you got to be perfectly vertical. So when I say flat, they're just shy of hitting that handstand, and that's where the judges can hit her. But that routine was good. Good dismount. We saw the same dismount that we saw moments ago. Take another look at this. It's a half-in, double front out. Nice landing. Missouri's looking good. They're gonna be happy with this performance. They want to finish with some big ones here at the end, though.
That's Adrian Perry, the senior from Columbia, Missouri. The floor exercise with Nikki Dilbert of Iowa State, a junior. And Iowa State really struggled this year. They were 1-10 in competition, 0-4 inside the conference.
She's got robo elbow going there. She looks like she's Barry Bonds batting from the left side of the plate there, but nice combination pass to start off. A little low on that punch front. Very difficult three salto combination. She obviously has had some elbow issues, and that's more of a precautionary detail at the moment, but the floor is all about showing it off, and obviously we'll see some great routines tonight, but Nikki doing a good job. And as far as events to start on, floor is a good one because you have a lot of energy coming in. You're amped up. And this is one of those events, really vault probably being the favorite event to start on because you can just let it fly. Floor is right behind that one.
Well, Nikki from Minnesota made her season debut on floor against West Virginia.
She's got to be a good kid if she's from Minnesota. I mean, that's my home state after all.
I figured that you would come into play with that. Is this the exercise that you want to do, especially, you know, doing this in front of your home fans too?
Oh, definitely. You know, the fans just feed that energy and get you pumped up, and you know, you go a little higher. You got the home fans behind you. Good job from Nikki. And Iowa State, again, they really need to be perfect tonight. They got no room to wiggle.
Next up, the parallel bars for Missouri will be on balance beam for Oklahoma. Next up, Holly Mike.
Take another look at this last pass. Fairly simple pass, but when you do simple gymnastics and they're playing a little bit safe on some of their routines tonight, you've got to do it perfect, and that was a nice finish.
You're watching the 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. From Nikki to her teammate when we come back.
Thompson from Iowa State. And coming up, the first rotation continues with me on the floor exercise.
This is Lisa Hatcher on bars from Missouri.
And she is one of the best in the entire competition on this event. That was called a Korkina, named after an Olympic champion from Russia. She does it pretty well. I think she might actually do it better than Korkina did it. And talk about lines and handstands. She does them as well as anyone. And this is a big dismount, the biggest one in the competition. Watch, full twist and double layout. Outstanding, and ironically enough, she learned that dismount as a senior, and that's incredibly tough to do, you know, late in your career to add difficulty like that. Alicia's got to be happy with that. Another look at the dismount. Cranking those giants. Look at that. A lot of speed going over the top. The only mistake is that small hop. Great job, Hatcher.
Titles 8 in all, 11-4 this year, 4-0 in the Big 12. And how did they fare on the vault?
Well, they fared well. Aaron Davis right here doing a Yurchenko, laid out with a full twist. Again, for most of the vaulters tonight, it's going to be all about those landings. They all do similar vaults, but who can do it the cleanest in the air and who can stick the landing. One of their top dogs, Kylie Stone, the Canadian, looking solid there. And the last vault. This is a unique vault. Watch what she does. She actually does a front handspring onto the board. Handspring, pike front off. And you cannot do it better than that. And I don't know, 9.85, I tell you what, that would look better than a 9.9 to me. Outstanding start for Nebraska.
Jasmine Thompson was fifth in the conference and was just named to the All Big 12 squad on the floor exercise. Matter of fact, she won the floor crown against Minnesota and considered one of the best in the country in this particular event.
You got to throw that shot in on Minnesota, don't you? Anytime, just knock down my school. I see how it is. But talking to the coaches before the competition, and even though one of the Iowa State coaches told me this, I don't think any of the other coaches would disagree. This is probably one of the most fun routines that you're going to see tonight on the floor. This is where she really shines. She's one of the highest ranked in the country, being in the top 25, and this is a real crowd pleaser. You're going to like it. Double pike. You won't see him done any bigger than that. She's got some moves, Dan. score coming into tonight, 9-9 on this event. And certainly that would fit a need for Iowa State right now. Their scores have been building, but to finish with a 9-9 plus would be outstanding. There's that combo pass again. Awesome finish, great. Good finish for Iowa State. All the teams right now seem to be clicking on all cylinders.
And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our first rotation here this afternoon.
Here's the last pass again. Again, a two salto pass is required, and that can be done in combination like that. Perfect.
Well, Holly Weiss, we talked about her open, led the U.S. to a team title. And you see that she was one of the best in the country, but a little bit of a struggle here early on.
Yeah, she had that big wobble right at the beginning, which is very uncharacteristic for her, and it was on probably a fairly simple part of her routine, at least for Holly it was. And really, she as a junior gymnast, and I shouldn't say junior, as a high school age gymnast, but an elite competitor, was really world class on this event. And collegiately, obviously, she's also outstanding, ranked in the top 10 in the nation currently on this event, scored a 9.95 earlier this season. Unfortunately, though, had a couple wobbles, which are going to cost her. And again, in a competition that I expect to be very tight, wobbles like that, and especially on a critical routine like Holly's beam routine, can be very costly. You can see Coach Kindler in the background there. And sometimes when you watch the coaches on beam especially, they look like they're actually doing the routine with their athlete, leaning into it and willing them to stay on. Outstanding finish, but again, a couple wobbles. It'll be interesting to see how the judges handle that. It still should be a very good score.
Haley DeProspero, we talked about her in our open as well, one of the top competitors here today.
And Oklahoma trying to finish with an exclamation point. And this is really a stacked lineup here at the end for Oklahoma with Holly and Haley.
Overall, what did you think of Holly's performance, even though it was shaky early on?
I think it was good, and I think Holly would admit that it wasn't her best. You know, she's certainly a perfectionist, and I know any wobble is too many for her, but still, in the big picture, it was a very good routine.
For people that are tuned in and watching this, how do these competitors compare to U.S. Olympians and the level that you competed on?
Well, honestly, a lot of these competitors have been national team members, world team members, and so they've been at that highest level, the elite level. But you will see skills, maybe not as much difficulty in one routine, but you will see individual skills that are world-class throughout tonight's competition. Speaking of world-class competitors, Haley is getting married this summer to Olympic silver medalist Jonathan Horton, and he'll be proud of that routine. That was a great finish for Oklahoma, and I tell you what, a good start for them on an event that's not a whole lot of fun to start on.
Rotation 2 continues. In just a moment, it's the 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship from Ames. Lake Laverne in Ames, Iowa, the campus of Iowa State. John Roethlisberger, a three-time U.S. Olympian. Alongside him, Dan McLaughlin, and this is the 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship.
Is that Pond Laverne or is that Lake Laverne?
Oh, it's Lake.
Is it Lake?
Lake. Huge, vast lake here in Ames. Water skiing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's right up your alley, man. Laura Evanstad is a 5'3" freshman for Nebraska. She swept every individual title at North Dakota State, the championships, for 4 straight years.
And she is so dynamic, and she's been one of the surprises, talking to the coaching staff for Nebraska, one of the surprises this year as a freshman, really came in and filled some of the voids left by their seniors last year, and also one of their gymnasts they were counting on, Maria Scafidi, who got hurt earlier in the year and hasn't been able to compete for them. But that was an outstanding routine, very clean, and a great start for Nebraska, trying to build after that first rotation. There's what's called a Jaeger. Does it very, very well. Nice above the bar, spots it, grabs it.
back to the floor exercise, and Oklahoma's Haley DeProspero. Boy, she'll be busy today.
Yeah, she will. She's going to be counted on all the events. And this is a great event for her. She has a lot of difficulty, and she is early in the lineup for Oklahoma, but probably has as much difficulty as just about anybody in the competition tonight. And you can see KJ Kindler there on the right, and she has a little bit of a look of concern on her face because the first gymnast up for Oklahoma on the floor exercise, Sarah Stone, had a little bit of a mistake. So for those of you who don't know at home, they have 6 gymnasts going up on each event. Of those 6 gymnasts, 5 scores have got to count. And the last thing you want to do, a death sentence, so to speak, for a Big 12 championship is counting a miss, especially when so many gymnasts are so good that one counted miss can cost you guys the team title.
We've talked about the strength of Oklahoma in gymnastics. 9 different OU gymnasts have won an event title this season.
And she's got a couple great combination passes to start off with. First, the 2.5 twist punch front. You can see she has that mat in the corner. That's allowable. Some gymnasts choose to use it, some do not. Adds a little bit of extra cushion, but also it can make landings a little bit tougher. And that's tough right there. A whip back right to a double pike.
She nailed it.
And as a coach and as a team member, when you have a mistake out there, the last thing you want it to do is to get contagious, because they do. Mistakes can get contagious, like in baseball, Dan. You've seen plenty of baseball games. When the team can't hit, when they can't get a hold of that ball, it seems to spread to the other members of the team. And the same thing in gymnastics. If people start falling, having mistakes, the teammates see that, and it can start a snowball effect. But so far, Haley is stopping the bleeding nicely for Oklahoma.
So the situation where when you follow up, if you put pressure on yourself because of that?
Oh, absolutely. You know, like Haley knew that her teammate had a mistake right before her. So she's going up on that apparatus knowing I have to hit. It could be the difference in a team championship, and that was awesome routine.
Saw the shot of KJ Kindler, and of course she is the 2008 Big 12 Coach of the Year.
Take a look at the second pass. She does a whip back right into a double pike. The timing on that is so critical. That was awesome.
Brittany Habib, a sophomore from Ontario, 5'3" for Nebraska on bars.
Brittany does some nice skills on the uneven bars, and so far Nebraska having a slight lead after the first rotation, starting off well going into the bars. Now last year Nebraska really fell apart at the Big 12 championships, which is uncharacteristic of them, and finished in 4th place. And talking to some of their staff, and they're looking for a little redemption. They're not going to lie. That's not Nebraska gymnastics, and certainly they would like to remind everybody this year that they're at the top of the Big 12. Beautiful Jaeger again, as we saw earlier from her teammate Laura.
Mentioned that Brittany is from Ontario, so 5-year Canadian national team member, 2006 World Championships participant, as well as the 2005 Pan Am Games.
A very unique dismount combination there. She did a Stalter right into a toe front half. Nice job.
Brittany Habib from Nebraska.
Take another look at this. Here's the Stalter. You don't see that too often. And this is earlier in the routine, right to the Jaeger flip. Nice combination.
From the University of Missouri, we move to the beam, and this is Elisa Hatcher, a senior from Blue Springs, Missouri. They say, partner, she's one of the best and most consistent gymnasts the Tigers have to offer on both bars and beam.
She really is, and she's going to be obviously counted on for a big score here. You know, Missouri just had a great competition. Their senior night, their last meet at home last weekend against Oregon State, at the time was the 9th-ranked team in the country. They beat them. So I know that was a great last homestand for Alicia and Adrian Perry, but I know they want that conference title more than anything. And she's one of those gymnasts that is so nice to watch. Great line. She's one of the taller athletes competing. Tough combination there. Unfortunately, a major wobble. That is going to be a significant deduction, but man, that's a tough combo.
You mentioned how she is taller. Explain to people watching at home, if you're a shorter gymnast, how might that benefit you as opposed to what we see here?
Well, it's a give and take. You know, the taller gymnasts with the longer lines, longer legs, they look great when they're swinging bars, for instance, or even on the balance beam, or when they're doing the dance and the leap skills. But when you're shorter, it's easier to flip yourself over a bunch of times to dumb it down. That's it in a nutshell.
What have you thought so far?
Other than that wobble, she looks great. Not bad, not bad. Missouri's going to want to finish with a bang with their last two big dogs, Adrian Perry and Sarah Shire, but that was a good routine. Really, only that wobble was the only thing she has to complain. You can look at her face, she goes, darn it. You can see it on her face. She knows that little wobble is going to cost her. Take another look at this. Aerial cartwheel right into a layout step out, and you can see her feet just skirting that left side of the beam. But she stayed on and she avoided a major catastrophe.
Let's go back to the floor exercise. That's Jackie Flannery, and this is the gymnast to watch according to the folks with Oklahoma.
Well, you know what? She's such a tough kid. Just 2 weeks ago, she sprained her ankle and really has not worked the floor of the vault since that time. Just recently kind of come back, and talking to Coach Lou Ball earlier yesterday, he just said, hey, she's tough and she's going to go out there and she's going to do the job, and they need her to. She's one of the best on this event.
Flannery had posted 14 straight routines at 9.8 or higher before the injury, including 7 consecutive floor scores of 9.85 or greater.
And one of the top finishers last year at the Big 12 Championship. Nice. I tell you what, first girl goes up and has a mistake. Then you have Haley go up and knock it out of the park. And then you have Jackie go up, who's injured, hasn't trained as much as she needed to coming in here, but guts it out and hits when they have to have a hit. And that's what it's all about. That's what winning a Big 12 Conference Championship's about. Another look at this. That's a Rudy to what's called a Shushinova. And she's just having fun right there.
Rotation 2 continues in just a moment. The 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship from Iowa State in Ames. Come see the nation's best gymnasts battling for the crown of the national championship and the 2009 Visa Championships. Tickets available through Ticketmaster and at the American Airlines Center box office. Welcome back as rotation 2 continues. Missouri's Sarah Shire from the Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa, along with John Roethlisberger, 3-time U.S. Olympian. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and I know that in talking prior to the event starting, you had high praise for Sarah Shire.
She has been a stud this year. I can't think of a better word to describe what she's done. She has just rocked it this year from start to finish. Her coaches can't say enough good things about her, and she's really stepped up her game from last year to this year even more. And she was good last year, but this year she has really been outstanding with combinations like that. Layout, step out, rock solid. And this event, ironically, from Missouri last year, they came into the last event, the balance beam, and they were in the lead, and they fell apart on beam, and it cost them their chance at their first ever conference championship. And so this is an important moment for them, and it's an event that's kind of been up and down for them this year. But tonight, so far, Sarah and her teammates look pretty solid.
Well, you talked about it earlier, the taller participants on the beam, and Sarah does not fit that bill.
No, she's definitely one of the shorter competitors competing tonight, and she takes advantage of it. She's very acrobatic, as you'll see on some of the other events as well. So far, this beam routine couldn't be better. Awesome way to finish for Missouri on the balance beam, trying to build on that bar score, trying to move up in those standings. Take another look at this combination. Back handspring right into 2 layout step outs. 1, 2. And if you're not sitting at home thinking, wow, that looks hard, you should be, because that's ridiculous. Again, 4 inches wide, 3 acrobatic elements. Outstanding.
Let's go to the floor exercise. And Kristen Smith of Oklahoma.
We talked about Jasmine Thompson being a lot of fun to watch on this event. Kristen Smith is an outstanding dancer, considered by some to be the best dancer in this competition.
Kristen, a junior from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
She is ranked in the top 25 in the country on this event, has scored a 9.9 earlier this season. 9.9s, by the way, so far in this competition have been pretty tough to come by. These judges are being a little bit tight, but I think that's good. You gotta be critical, especially in championship season time. Nice job from Kristen and KJ coming out of her shell a little bit, maybe taking a little extra sigh of relief. After that early mistake, her team really showed some poise and maturity and hitting it the rest of the way.
Please march to your next event. 3-minute touch will begin following a 2-minute transition period.
Take another look at this last pass. We're going to see a lot of these 2.5 twists, and they're really tough to land because, again, you don't see that floor until the last second. She does it well.
Brittany Williams on bars for Nebraska, and she's a 5'4" senior from Pennsylvania.
Interesting story about Brittany. She was actually going to be done after last season, was not going to come back. She had an injury. It was going to be the end of her career, but she decided to walk back onto the team. They did end up finding a scholarship for her, but she has really been a great return to the team this year. Her chemistry, or her leadership, has really added to the chemistry, not to mention her awesome bar routine. Hang on, double layout. Like a lawn dart coming in there, perfect landing.
As we wrap up rotation 2, let's go to Iowa State on the vault. Take a look at how they fared. Celia McConney, first up, tied for second on the vault.
One thing about Iowa State's vaults, they do a lot of vaults that are blind wall landings like that. Yurchenko laid out with a half twist, but they do them well, 9-8.
This is Michelle Browning.
We saw this vault earlier. It's called an ILG. An ugly name, but a beautiful vault.
And how about Megan Barnes to finish things off?
She was third at the 2008 Big 12 Championships. And looks like she's going to be near the top again. And there we go. There's a 9.9. Outstanding job from Iowa State on vault.
One of the best on the beam is Trisha Wu, and she's coming up next in our Big 12 Championship Special.
Hi, I'm Trisha Wu from the University of Nebraska, and I'm the Big 12 defending beam champion. And the Huskers are up next on beam.
Welcome you back as 2 rotations are in the books, and along with a 3-time Olympian, of course, John Roethlisberger. I'm Dan McLaughlin. What have you thought about the first 2 so far?
You know what? Probably the biggest surprise is to see Missouri a little bit back in those standings. You know, I expected them to be a little closer, but they do have a couple high-scoring events to go. You know, the two big dogs are up there barking loud, and they want to bring this title home, but there's a lot of gymnastics yet to be played out, and certainly it's still anybody's competition.
All right, let's take a look at so far the standings. We'll start with the team competition in the Big 12 Championship, and you just get the feeling that down the stretch it'll be between Oklahoma and Nebraska.
You know, you got to close, and that means you got to hit down the stretch. Those are the most important routines. But as I said, Missouri's got some high-scoring events. Iowa State still has to go to the vaunted balance beam there at the end. So we'll see. It's Oklahoma's meat to win, but it's certainly not over.
The individual all-around standings, you see the young lady from Oklahoma who is favored coming into this. She's at third right now. 1 and 2 is Thompson and Shire, and then Kylie Stone at number 4 for Nebraska.
And you see why it's almost impossible to pick a favorite, coming in. And certainly if they did this meet over and over again, you'd probably get a different winner every time. But Haley obviously in the mix, Sarah Shire. It's tight to say the least. It's anybody's competition, certainly in the all-around.
So we take a look at rotation 3 on the vault. Oklahoma, bars, Iowa State, beam, Nebraska, floor, Missouri. So 2 in the books. What have you thought so far?
Well, not a surprise to see Oklahoma and Nebraska up there. Missouri puts themselves in an early hole. However, they started off on 2 events that aren't necessarily the biggest scoring events for them, but they finish on 2 that are very high scoring. So they're not out of it by any means.
Over to the bars, Iowa State here in rotation 3. And this is Megan Barnes.
And Megan has been somebody that has been missed for most of the season. She had a foot injury, but she has come back and she has filled in some spots that are much needed for Iowa State. And I think talking to Coach Jay Ronayne before the competition, he feels like they really need her to step up if they're going to push the top dogs. And that is the way to do it. Nice job from Megan.
Let's go over to the floor exercise for the Tigers of Missouri. Alicia Hatcher for Mizzou.
And it's time to go on notice if you're a Tiger. It's time to make a move. They have got to close the gap after this event. They've got to be closer to the leaders if they have any chance of winning. Right now, they're about 6/10 back. 6/10 is too much to pick up in one rotation. You're going to need help from the other teams to have mistakes if you want to do that in one. So they need to eat away a little bit at that in this rotation. Triple twist, nice.
John, you talked about the judges for each of the different events that we're watching here, and where do these judges come from? Are we talking former gymnasts, coaches? Where do they come from?
They don't have to be former gymnasts or coaches, but almost all the time they are. And a lot of these judges have been around for a long time. They were gymnasts in their day, and they usually come from this region of the country, and they've certainly seen these gymnasts before. I'm sure of it.
Part of the floor exercise, what is it?
You always got to stay on your feet, and that's the biggest thing. Those landings are so critical. You saw her mount that triple twist, and you saw kind of a big step out of it. You've got to minimize those and really staying on those feet, but more so sticking those landings are the biggest part. And the little things are the dance moves, the things that only the expert eye can check. And that, again, a little bit of a big step on that landing. That's going to be a deduction. But all in all, that was a good routine. She had her career high just last weekend on this event, a 9.825. Don't know if that'll go over a 9.8, but certainly a good routine for Alicia. Another look here. That's the 2.5 twist. That's the dismount. Don't want to give away that much on the step coming out of that, but it was still very good.
Back over to the beam, and this is Nebraska's Kristen Fife, the freshman from Cincinnati, Ohio.
And they describe her as tough and a rock. And she is very good on this event, very deliberate beam worker. She moves precisely and quickly through her routine, doesn't waste time. Right into that acro series, done perfectly.
We talked about it earlier, but the fear factor, even at this level, for these athletes that have been doing it all their lives, the beam has to be one of the toughest things to overcome, probably mentally.
You never lose a little bit of that fear as an athlete, and some athletes obviously handle it better than others, but certainly repetition helps that, doing skills over and over again. But I tell you what, you don't get up on the balance beam ever, I don't feel, and not have a little bit of that nervousness in the back of your mind, realizing, yeah, I could be sliding off this thing at any moment because it is that tough. There's a unique gainer pike off the end of the beam, and Nebraska is hitting. They are hitting beam. They want that Big 12 title back, and they're doing so far what they need to do. Take another look here at this dismount. Pike gainer, not the most difficult, but it's one of those dismounts that allows you to nail the landing and not give away any points there.
Let's go over to the bars. Jasmine Thompson for Iowa State set to go.
She needs to go big here. This is not necessarily one of the biggest scoring events, and Iowa State in third place after the first 2 rotations needs, like Missouri, to keep it tight going into the last event and try to steal it at the end. I think that's so nice to watch her. She's got those great long lines, outstanding form. She makes the swing part of bars look easy. And that's a tall body to be flipping around twice in the laid out position, but that was great. Jasmine showing why she's a leader for the Cyclones. Take another look at the dismount right here. Again, cranking those giants. Beautiful in the air. Only that small hop, but a very, very good routine that should score well.
We're in the middle of rotation 3, the 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. KJ Kindler, 3rd season at OU. Back with more in a moment. Welcome back to Ames, Iowa. 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. Celia McConney for Iowa State on the bars.
And she almost went out of the screen on that reverse hex. That was huge. Gotta nail this. Oh my gosh, that was a gigantic double layout. What she does big. And you will not see a higher double layout. That was unbelievable. She was floating up there. Here's the reverse hex again. Look how high above the bar she gets. And the double layout too. She looked like Superman flying above that thing. That was awesome.
Celia McConney of Iowa State. From bars to the beam, here's Kylie Stone of Nebraska, the junior from Calgary, Alberta at 5'3". And think about this, John, they've got Stone here and Trisha Wu still upcoming, the defending champs. So Nebraska in good shape here.
They really are. They've had 4 very good routines leading up to this, decent scores, but now a chance for the big dog to step up to the plate and knock it out of the park, being Kylie Stone and Wu. That first leap she did, even though it may have looked simple at home, that pike jump with a full turn, very tough. She does it as well as just about anybody I've seen.
Television really doesn't do this justice, does it?
No, it doesn't. When you're sitting about 20 feet away like we are, it gives you a whole new perspective on how tough and how impressive some of the stuff is that they do.
Their bodies and the joints and the knees and how beat up they get. I mean, you're a guy that competed in 3 Olympics. How does your body feel now?
It can take a toll. Let's put it this way. I don't do a whole lot of gymnastics anymore.
I didn't think so.
Kylie Stone really has a packed routine. We saw a side summit earlier, and then her acro series pretty late in the routine. She's got to stick this. Fights the landing a little bit. That will be a deduction on the landing, but all in all, that was a very good routine. We saw a little bit of a wobble on the side summy and that little bit of a wobble on the dismount, but this looked perfect. And that should be a decent score.
We saw her earlier for Missouri. Sarah Shire, the floor exercise for the Tigers.
And again, we talked about it. They got to make a move here. And if they're going to make a move, the big dogs for Missouri have got to lead the way. Saw Alicia Hatcher earlier do a good routine. Just clean up those landings a little bit, and they can go big.
Shire has contributed some of the Tigers' top scores this season, many of which cracked the top 15 all time.
I always like they do a couple extra arm movements in that corner. That's code for I need to rest for a minute. Double tuck dismount. Nice routine. Now they have a chance to finish strong, too, with Adrian Perry coming up here in a few moments. She's the defending champ and a chance to go big. Take another look here at Sarah. Final pass, tuck double back. You can see Rob Drass in the back, happy with that routine.
Let's go over to the beam and the defending champion, Trisha Wu of Nebraska.
And we just watched her warm this up moments ago, and she is so fun to watch, and she's got such a unique routine. We saw that interesting swing down right there.
Why is it unique? For the folks at home, you're saying it's unique. Why is that?
It's unique because, you know, no one else does it. She has her own kind of personality that she has, her own flair to her routine.
What must be included, though, in the routine on the bars?
Oh, and I'm sorry, Dan, we just had a really, really uncharacteristic fall, and that is not a difficult skill for her. She usually does a swing down to a back hip circle and just caught her chest a little bit too much and could not hold on to the beam. Wow, that is shocking, and this is a big routine for Nebraska and the score that they really do need. Now, they did have good routines before her, but this is one that can go in the 9.9, 9.95 range. Really, really, I'm sure, disappointing for Trisha. Take a look at that again, and this is a good angle. Watch, now she just pushes herself too far away from the bar. You can see her chest was, from the beam. Her chest was over the beam, and it needed to be closer to her waist. And she just could not hold herself on, and I'm sure that didn't feel good either. It looked nasty.
Let's take a look at the vault for Oklahoma. Haley DiProspero. We'll start with her, the All-American candidate.
Haley having a great night so far tonight. Does a huge Yurchenko full. Only thing missing on that's a stuck landing. Nice score, 98.25.
Second up was Natalie Ratcliffe.
Again, same vault, little bit of a split and those legs coming on, but made up for it with the stuck landing. Same score, 9.825.
And we finish it up with Melanie Root.
And she's got the biggest Yurchenko. Awesome, she warmed it up just like that. Carbon copy moments ago. Great job from Melanie.
Now over to the floor exercise for Missouri, the defending champ in floor, and that is Adrian Perry of the Missouri Tigers.
Again, very highly ranked on this event this year. Starting off with my favorite, the shoulder roll. I practiced that in my hotel room before I came over here today. Very dynamic on this event. And also one of those athletes that loves to play to the crowd a little bit and show off. Beautiful layout front to a front Rudy combination. It's also important to look at the athlete's form in the air. You know, you don't just look at the big acro skills, you look at how well they do them. Are their feet together? Are their toes pointing when they're twisting? Those things make a difference.
So far, so good?
So far, outstanding. Nice leap combination there. And they do need a 2-element dance series on floor. That is also a requirement. Tell you what, the fist in the air in the background from head coach tells you this routine was awesome. Exclamation point for Missouri, and a great way for her to finish her last floor routine at a Big 12 championship. And look at there, 9.95, the best score I think we've seen. Double tuck, fairly easy for Adrian, but the smile on her face will tell you that she may just have defended her floor title here at the Big 12 championships. That was awesome.
So that'll wrap up rotation 3. Rotation 4 coming up from Ames. The Big 12 Gymnastics Championships rolls on in a moment. Ah, yes, there's a look at Prairie Moon Winery here in Ames, Iowa. as we continue with the Big 12 Gymnastics Championship.
Do they use corn to brew that wine in Iowa?
No, they do it straight up.
They do grapes.
Yep, grapes
Nice.
actually work here in Iowa. Let's take a look at the team standings through 3 rotations. Oklahoma, Nebraska, very tight. Iowa State, and then you have number 4, Missouri. As far as the individual all around, let's take a look at the individuals so far through 3 rotations. Sarah Shire of Missouri, Adrian Perry of Missouri, and Haley DiProspero of Oklahoma, who we figured starting today would be one of the obviously individuals that you looked at for the all-around standings.
Yeah, you know, all 3 of those girls are definitely ones we wanted to watch for, and they're showing true to form. But the team competition, you know, Oklahoma really has quite a decent lead. That's quite a cushion, you know, almost 5/10 of a lead in women's gymnastics is quite a bit. So this is their meet to win, but as we saw last year, anything can happen. They got to get up there and hit.
Yeah, you would anticipate it's going to get tight here in rotation 4. And let's start with Haley and Oklahoma on the bars, and away we go.
Now, if you want to close out, you want to have your veterans up there, and Haley going up early in the lineup is really someone that probably gives their team a lot of confidence. Now, you saw her foot hit the bar on that reverse hecht. That is going to be a deduction. Now, they have got to be careful here. Don't give away too many points. We talked about how making mistakes can be contagious, and you certainly do not want to put yourself in a situation where you have to hit. You have a cushion. Give yourself some comfort, but hit those routines. And she got them started. Not going to be a huge score, though, but gets them out of the gate. 9-6, not great, but that takes away a little bit of that wiggle room for the rest of the girls. Let's take a look at this dismount. Again, we've seen a lot of great double layouts. It's almost become compulsory for some of these collegiate athletes.
So we start with Haley here in rotation 4. And let's go to Nebraska, the first Big 12 Championships appearance here. And Cassandra for Nebraska in the floor exercise.
And Cassandra is one of those athletes that have been a nice surprise for the Nebraska coaching staff. Not a lot of people really knew about Cassandra coming out of high school. She had some injuries, had some things that she needed to overcome. She came from a gym that wasn't that well known. She switched gyms, and Nebraska really kind of wanted to take a shot at her. And incidentally, the gym that she went to right before she came to college was the same gymnastic club that I went to when I was a kid, Twin City Twisters up in Minneapolis. So I can't help but pull for her a little bit, you know?
Well, you talk to, about Oklahoma, and you think about KJ Kindler, and she's a native of this area in Iowa State. What do you think it would mean for her to come back here and have the Sooners win here at Hilton Coliseum?
Well, it's certainly going back to your alma mater. It'd have to bring a lot of emotion. You know, certainly winning a Big 12 title alone would do it, but to come back here and do it would certainly be special, I'm sure. But this kid's trying to make sure that doesn't happen. So far, this has been a good routine. Now, they did have a mistake early in their lineup. Their first girl up, like we saw from Oklahoma on the floor exercise, had a major mistake. So Nebraska, they cannot afford to give an inch the rest of the way if they have any hope of catching Oklahoma.
So the floor exercise by Cassandra, and by all accounts, very good.
Take another look here. First pass. Front full, front with a half. Actually, that was her second pass. We're looking at her last pass right here. So front with 1.5 twist, fairly simple dismount, but gets him back on track. Hits, it's going to be a decent score, very good score actually, a 9.85. A little bit surprised at how high that score was, but that's exactly what Nebraska needed to get back on track.
Rotation 4, Missouri is on the vault, and that means Mary Burke.
Missouri again needs to be perfect here. They're digging themselves out of a hole as well. If they want to catch anybody, they got to be great. 9.85 is good, but I tell you what, they've got to start sticking those landings.
From the vault to the beam, Iowa State and Katie Sweeten. See what she did back in 08.
Again, so these teams that are all chasing Oklahoma, they really got to be perfect. They've got to get up there. They've got to stick landings. They cannot have wobbles if you're on the beam. You cannot have steps if you're on floor or vault. They have no room to wiggle. Oklahoma does, and we saw them give a little bit back with Haley's routine first up. So Iowa State, Missouri, Nebraska have got to take advantage of every little tenth. They need to get, you know, a tenth of routine would do it, and that seems easy, but it's not when Oklahoma's on bars and they're scoring well the rest of the way, if they can do that. So far, Katie looks so confident, and you can see when she goes through her motions, even her little dance moves and her arm movements, very sharp, very precise. And that's what you have to be on balance beam. You got to be confident. You got to know you're going to land right in the center of that balance beam every time. Boom, just like that. I think Iowa State is sensing a little something, a little momentum here. The first few girls up have scored well, but they're going to have to start getting into that 9-8 range, close to 9-9 most likely if they want to make a move up the standing. 9-7s are not going to be good enough. Hey, that was a great routine. That's all she could do. 9-7, 7-5 is good, but they're going to have to get up in the 9-8, 9-9. Now look at our acro series. Flip-flop, flip-flop. Layout. Beautiful.
So closing the gap, Nebraska on Oklahoma here in rotation 4. Adrian Perry is one of the best on the vault for Missouri.
Hi, my name's Adrian Perry. I'm the defending all-around champion from last year. The final event of the night, vault, is coming up next.
Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. Final rotation of the 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. Nebraska starting to close the gap a little bit on Oklahoma. Jessica Kender is on the bars.
And I tell you what, Oklahoma, it's their meet to win, but they are giving the other teams a little bit of an opportunity. Jessica Kinder's got the ability to go high above a 9-8, but so far she's following up a 9-6 and a 9-7 from her teammates. They cannot let this get carried away. They've got to get some of those 9-8s and maybe a 9-9 to clinch this thing. And so far, they're leaving a little bit of a wiggle room. That was good. That was a very good routine. Nice double layout. We'll see there again, 9-7, 7-5, a good score. But that leaves room for Nebraska, in particular on floor, to put up a big number and pick up a 10th of routine. Here's a look at the dismount again. That time you can see her feet apart in the air a little bit if the judges catch that. Now in slow motion it's easy to see it, but that should be a deduction.
Let's go to the floor exercise for Nebraska. One of the top newcomers, ranked 30th in the NCAA floor, Laura Evanstead.
So now what Nebraska needs to do, OU's given them a little bit of a crack to walk through, and floor is generally a higher scoring event. They're putting up 9-7s, 9-7, 7-5. They need to step up and put up some of those 9-9s right now. And that, my friend, is the type of gymnastics you need to do. Laura was a former junior national champion. Definitely one of the best freshmen in the Big 12 this year. We talked about her being a little bit of a surprise for the Nebraska staff, although when you're the junior national champion, you're not surprising too many people if you're doing well as she is.
How does this compare to some of the others we've seen?
So far, this is as clean as she can do it. She mounted with a beautiful full twisting double back, and her landings have been impeccable. Her dance is clean, fun, getting the crowd into it. Tell you what, Nebraska's not going quietly into the night. They are going to continue to pressure Oklahoma, and that's definitely going to pick up some points. A 9-9, a huge, huge score. Here's a look at the first tumbling pass again. 2 flips with 1 twist done in the tuck position. And that's as good as it can be done.
Kylie Stone will be next up for Nebraska. In floor
Take a look at the last pass here.
Coming up next on the balance
Fairly,
beam for
very
Iowa
simple,
State,
but
Ashley
very
Gibb.
clean.
Over to the vault for Missouri and Adrian Perry.
All right, now here's what we're talking about. Gotta be perfect. You gotta stick this if you have any chance. Come on. Great vault, but I gotta put the asterisk, the step on the landing, and there you can see 9.825. Really, that step was the only place to take some points, and unfortunately for Missouri, it might be a little too late to make a run.
Now for Iowa State, one of the best on the beam, and that's Jasmine Thompson.
Iowa State has had great balance beam tonight, but just not great enough. They've scored, all of their scores have been in that 9-7 range, which is good. Don't get me wrong, those are good scores and they've had great routines. But to make a move on a team like Oklahoma or Nebraska, those scores have got to be high 9.8s, even low 9.9s. But that doesn't take away from this awesome routine. Jasmine's so much fun to watch. Beautiful. Would have liked to seen that split a little bigger, closer to that 180 degrees that we talked about. Great finish for Iowa State, and she's pumping her fist for a reason. Iowa State really closed out well, and really all in all, from start to finish, had a great showing tonight. Here's the capper to Jasmine's great performance this evening. No better feeling as a gymnast than sticking that landing.
We'll take another timeout. The final rotation of the Big 12 Championship. Holly Bice is the defending champ on bars, and she's coming up.
Hi, I'm Holly Weiss from the University of Oklahoma. I'm the defending Big 12 champion on bars, and coming up next, I'll be defending my title.
Final performances for the final rotation from the Hilton Coliseum. Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. From Missouri, Sarah Shire on the vault, and she's had an outstanding day.
She really has. Current leader, and right now, if she can put up a 9.85 or better, she will make it mathematically impossible for someone to catch her in the all-around. And a beautiful vault, and that certainly will do it. And there it is, 9.9. Sarah Shire clinches her first ever Big 12 all-around title. What a day for that girl.
For Oklahoma and Nebraska, they're going back and forth, and let's go to the bars, and this is Megan Ferguson.
I tell you what, Oklahoma is giving a little bit away to Nebraska in each routine. Right now, they are counting a 9.6. Their first girl up, Haley DeProspero, put up a 9.6, and it's up to the rest of the girls to make sure they don't count that. If they do, they threaten to give away that first place position to Nebraska, because Nebraska is rocking on the floor exercise. So far, this routine is good. She's got a beautiful dismount, full twisting double back. Oh, and I tell you what, she's doing her best to close the door on the Cornhuskers, and a 9.85 is good. But I tell you what, any more Nebraska Cornhuskers put up 9.9s, and 9.85 might not be good enough. Here's the dismount again. Great height. Look for it. And as a coach coming down the stretch, those stuck landings are critical. You love to see them.
Floor exercise for Nebraska, and Kylie Stone is up.
And at this point for Nebraska, anything less than a 9.9 is not good enough. They've got to put up a huge scores every time, and if anybody can put up a big one, it's Kylie Stone. And check out this first pass. The toughest pass of the competition. Huge double layout. The reason you didn't see half of it because she went so high she went out of the screen. That was awesome. Kylie is highly ranked in this event, 6th in the country right now, has put up over a 9.9 earlier with a 9.925 this season, and is well on her way to that. Beautiful double tuck. Now watching the Nebraska bench, you can sense hope. Each routine that goes by, they sense the possibility that they could stun the Sooners in this last rotation. This is going to be a big score. This is going to be good. They are closing the gap. Kylie Stone, 9.9 each routine. They get a little bit closer. Here's her combination pass, pike front through to double tuck. Darts the landing.
The defending champion in the bars in the Big 12 is Holly Weiss, who's an All-American candidate.
And if you want anyone on your team to close the door on your competitors, it's this girl right here. She is a veteran of the sport of gymnastics, world class, actually world champion on this event in 2003. So nice to watch, and just you can tell the polish that she has. Look at the handstands, the toe point. And so far, this is a championship routine. She's got a tough dismount, though. Double front. Oh, and that is absolutely devastating for the Sooners. I tell you what, you can see Lou Ball there who gave her a high five. I think they realized that that was a critical error. Take another look at this. This opens the door big time. Double front, just pulls it around a little too much. And that's one of those blind landings. It is so tough. Now this is going to be interesting.
Well, now you go to the floor exercise, and this is Tricia Wu, ranked 13th in the NCAA rankings in floor exercise. So as you look at the scores, what has to happen here?
I tell you what, this is unbelievable. Holly needed a 9.7 to make it impossible for Nebraska to win this thing, but she obviously did not get that. Tricia Wu needs a 9.925 or better for them to win the team title. Now, incidentally, her high score of the year, 9.925. Certainly capable of that. Kylie just went 9.9 right before. The judges are not afraid to put up those big numbers, but she's got to be so good to make that happen. Triple twist. Tough mount. A little bit of a step. It'll be interesting to see what the judges do with that. And Dan, you know she wants redemption after that beam routine where she had that very uncharacteristic fall. She would love nothing more than to finish with a huge one right here. That was good. A little hitch on that landing, but nothing serious. This is literally coming down to the last landing of the competition. Beautiful double pike. Man, oh man, this is going to be tight. Is it enough? Nebraska is pumped. I don't know. She had a couple landings that were less than perfect, but it just depends on what the judges do with them. It could be a half-tenth, it could be 1/10. There's the triple twist, just a little shy on that twist, which causes her to step to the side. Here's the next pass. Whip half, front full. Oh my gosh, this is going to be tight. I do not know if it's going to be enough. There were a few landings that were less than perfect. It's just going to depend on what the judges do with them, but it is going to be so close.
We'll find out when we come back. It's the 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship. The final results are next. Come see the nation's best gymnasts battling for the crown of the national championship in the 2009 Visa Championships. Tickets available through Ticketmaster and at the American Airlines Center box office. 2009 Big 12 Gymnastics Championship from Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. And let's take a look at the final results. Was it enough? It was not. As Oklahoma wins the Big 12 Championship over Nebraska, Missouri finishes up third, and the host team, Iowa State, the Cyclones, finish up fourth. As far as the individuals are concerned, Sarah Shire of Missouri, along with Adrian Perry, 1 and 2. Kylie Stone is third, and Jasmine Thompson of the home team, Iowa State, finishes up fourth. But let's hear from the winning coach, and John is downstairs and has a chance to visit with the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners.
All right, thanks, Dan. I'm here with the winning coach, KJ Kindler. KJ, first of all, did you have any idea how close it was, especially when Holly had that little misstep on her landing, how close it was right there at the end?
Oh, yeah. We were not sure, what the result was going to be. It was a bummer. It was breaking my heart that Holly did that, and we were on pins and needles, definitely.
So you've won 4 Big 12 championships, 2 at Oklahoma, 2 at Iowa State. You're back where you started your head coaching career, where you won your first Big 12. Does that mean anything to you, or is it any more special because of that?
I'm an alum of Iowa State. It's my place. I love being back in town, and yeah, it's definitely special in Hilton Coliseum.
Well, thank you. Congratulations. Good luck at the NCAAs coming up.
Thank you.
We're also here with the all-around champ, Sarah Shire. Hold on, let me get down here a little bit. Sarah, congratulations. I know that you wanted to come away with the team championship, and you guys didn't. It was very close. But is this a little bit of a silver lining, 2 individual titles on events and the all-around title?
Yeah, I'm definitely honored, to have the win. I kind of followed in A's footsteps, from last year she took the win, and this year she was able to take second. So I'm really proud of this team, and I wouldn't be able to make it without them. So
now you've really kind of stepped up your game. Not to say you didn't have a great game last year, but you've kind of taken that next step up. Can you attribute anything to that rise?
I mean, it definitely does come down to my team and my coaches. They give me the support that I need, and they've kind of taught me to I think, grow up, with the sport. So I understand it more. I'm a little more calm, and I've kind of become a veteran, so it's kind of starting to make sense to me now.
Well, you're looking great. Keep it up. Good luck with the rest of the season. Thank you.
So much.
Back to you, Dan.
All right, John, thank you very much. Congratulations to Oklahoma, the 2009 Big 12 champions, and also congratulations to the individual winners as well. That does it from Ames. So long for the Big 12 championship.